Hello again. Before we go on, there's just time to mention that our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon and Harry Breur. It's performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, who has kindly given his permission for us to use it. And now here's Katherin with a little bit of sport.
And starting with rugby. Marcello Bosch showed nerves of steel to slot over a long-range penalty with the last kick of the game, which saw Saracens snatch a 12-11 victory from the jaws of defeat when they made the trip to Racing Metro in the quarter-finals of the European Champions Cup on Easter Sunday. Despite being some way below their best, a dogged defensive display ensured that Sarries remained in contention throughout a tense clash in Paris.
And here's football. 2 goals from Corey Whiteley early in the second half enabled Enfield Town to record a vital 2-0 win at home to Bognor Regis Town on Easter Saturday, which gave a real boost to their hopes of securing a place in the Ryman Premier Division playoffs. But a much improved second half performance was not enough to prevent Enfield Town's playoff hopes from suffering a setback on Monday as they were beaten at Dulwich Hamlet. Brimsdown endured a frustrating Easter weekend as both their scheduled matches in Spartan League Division 2 were postponed. Saturday's clash at Ealing Town fell victim to a waterlogged pitch, while Monday's home match against Mersley was called off as the visitors were unable to raise a team. Meanwhile, Laste Dombey scored the only goal as Cockfosters lost 1-0 at Hadley in the Spartan Premier Division on Saturday. And title hopefuls Bowers and Pitsea proved much too strong for Enfield 1893 on Tuesday the 7th as the E's crashed to a 4-0 defeat at the Essex Senior League.
When he ties up his shoelaces and lines up at the start on April the 26th, Edmonton barber Tony Lambrew will be participating in his 10th London Marathon. He's raised more than £40,000 for charity since starting his marathon career in 2006, inspired by the death of his sister-in-law, Christiana Everu, from breast cancer. When she passed away, I wanted to do something in her memory, he said. He decided to raise money in aid of breakthrough breast cancer, and since then has raised funds for a range of charities, including Help for Heroes, the UK Thalassemia Society, and Cancer Research UK. This time it's personal again. He's raising money to help with expenses associated with his nephew Luke Cosma's treatment for leukemia in Germany. Luke lives in Cyprus and has undergone a bone marrow transplant in Germany. His parents have travelled there to support him. He told his uncle, "When you see your customers, please say thank you from me and God bless." Tony, 53, of Petersfield Close, has already raised £4,000 this year and said that customers from his shop, Smooth Cuts in Westram Avenue, who spot him on his training runs, have come up to him with sponsorship cash. His training has been hampered by a bad back and man flu, but he's been out and about in Enfield and Palmer's Green on his 20-mile training runs and has been clocking up 25 to 30 miles a week. He'll be participating in the Paris Marathon this Sunday, 2 weeks before his London date. He's hoping that the London race will exorcise the ghost of his experience in 2013 when he felt dehydrated. Fellow Edmonton Running Club members Pauline Edmonds helped to ensure he got over the finish line at the end of the 26.2-mile event. Tony added, "From 20 miles on, that's when you start feeling it. That's when you blank everything out and listen to the crowds. They carry you across the line. You're just in a zone when you see the finish."
Enfield Borough Council held a day to raise awareness of the return of tuberculosis, TB. The event, held on World TB Day, called on people to see their doctor if they suspect they have the bacterial infection, which spreads by inhaling tiny droplets from the coughs or sneezes of an infected person. In 2013, about 8,000 cases of TB were reported in the UK. Of these, more than 5,000 affected people who were born outside the UK. Cabinet Member for Culture, Sport, Youth and Public Health, Councillor Rohini Simboyadal, said, If you think you may have TB, it's vital that you get yourself checked by a doctor so that you can be prescribed a course of treatment to cure you. We are keen to stamp out TB, and it's very important that people with the disease are caught early to prevent them from infecting other people. This is a potentially unpleasant disease, and we're looking to stop it in its tracks, but we need the help of residents.
A derelict site in Edmonton has been transformed into a park, and residents will soon be able to grow vegetables there too. Angel Gardens was closed for several years, attracting fly tippers, but has now been redeveloped as part of the Meridian Water Scheme. The first section of the park is open and includes an outdoor gym, a sensory play area, a younger children's play area and a container play area. Work has now started on the second stage, which will include a community space for growing fruit and vegetables. This is being supported by the Greater London Authority's Pocket Parks programme. Councillor Chris Bond, Cabinet Member for Environment and Community Safety, said, "This space has always had the potential to be a brilliant community asset, and it's great news that we have managed to transform it from a dumping ground for rubbish into a fabulous area for the whole community to enjoy together. This new park will help bring residents together, creating a stronger community and give people living nearby a leisure facility they can be proud of. A footpath, a cycleway will now be built, trees planted and natural play and BMX areas created as a well space for art projects. The park will be fully open by the end of the year."
Residents had another chance to find out about the £30 million plans to revolutionise cycling in Enfield at a public exhibition. Enfield Council won funding from the Mayor of London's £100 million Mini Holland pot of cash for its bike schemes for its proposal for its ambitious Cycle Enfield scheme. The scheme has proved controversial, with some shopkeepers worried that cycle lanes will affect trade. The plans include a network of cycle routes with protected lanes to keep bikes and other motorists separate on some main roads, as well as taking cyclists on routes through parks and quieter roads away from heavy traffic. Under the scheme, separate bus and cycle lanes would be created in Church Street in Enfield Town, and the busy Edmonton Green roundabout would be converted with a segregated lane for bikes. The display at the Ordnance Unity Centre in Hertford Road, Enfield Wash, on Thursday was the fourth public exhibition about the scheme this year. A council spokesman said that hundreds of people had turned out to each event to find out more and put their views across. Cabinet Member for the Environment and Community Safety, Chris Bond, said the injection of cash gave Enfield a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to revolutionise cycling in the area. He added that the exhibition was a chance for people to quiz planners and give their views on the proposals. The scheme also includes secure on-street parking for bikes, places for cyclists to get bikes fixed or rent a recycled bike, and bike hubs at Enfield Town and Edmonton Green railway stations. Mr. Bond said, "The Council is absolutely committed to improving the cycling network, transforming our borough for residents, and getting more people on their bikes, therefore improving air quality and their health, and Cycle Enfield will be integral to that process."
Police arrested suspected drug dealers and criminals with unpaid fines in a crackdown on knives. Enfield Police and the Metropolitan Police's Gangs Unit placed knife screening arches similar to those seen in airports at locations including stations and shopping centres on March the 12th, 19th and 26th. Hundreds of people walked through the screening arches at Southgate Circus, Enfield Town Rail Station and other locations in Edmonton. Arrests were made for offences including possession with intent to supply drugs, breach of criminal behaviour order and non-payment of fines. Inspector Carl Silcock said, "We will continue to target those people intent on carrying weapons in the borough of Enfield. The operations were very well received by members of the public and we are planning to run similar events over the next few months."
Children entertained staff, governors and their families in a special performance to mark the 100th anniversary of the Great War. Pupils at St Edmund's Catholic Primary School in Hertford Road told of the history of the First World War through music, dance, poetry and song. Members of the Leytonstone Royal British Legion also attended the performance and were offered trench cake, made to an authentic 1917 recipe by staff at the school. The night ended with a sing-along of wartime classics, and head teacher Margaret Hadley said it was a heart-tugging and perfect in every respect, beautifully constructed evening and well executed.
A senior councillor says he fears for vulnerable families after the government refused to reconsider cuts to an emergency housing fund. Enfield Borough Council's Cabinet Member for Housing, Councillor Ahmed Oikner, wrote to Welfare Advisor Lord David Freud and Secretary of State for Work and Pensions Ian Duncan-Smith about cutting the authority's discretionary housing payment from £2.7 million to £1.6 million. The payment is given to councils by the government to help residents who are struggling with housing costs. In a letter sent last month, Councillor Oikner said the cuts would create an unfair and unbridgeable gap in support that will deeply affect some of our most vulnerable residents and their families. He also called for additional assistance over and above the grant allocation currently planned. However, in a response on March the 17th, Lord Freud said he believed the cut was fair. Councillor Oikner said, "We've seen a jump of people being booked into temporary accommodation from 630 in 2012-13 to 997 in 2014-15. That's a massive jump, and the cuts are only going to leave us in dire straits and leave people vulnerable. This is the fourth biggest cut, not just in London, but in the country, and I cannot say I'm surprised by the response I received, but I was hoping to be wrong. I'm very disappointed and let down from what I got back last week. We're going to look at our current situation with cutbacks already having to be made to our budget. I fear for the most vulnerable families."
And here's an opinion piece from Enfield resident Chris Thompson. "I write regarding the interesting news about the multi-million-pound investment in Chase Farm Hospital. If the reports are accurate, why is Labour's parliamentary candidate Joan Ryan writing to residents to say the hospital is due to close? I quote from a recent letter which says that what happens on May the 7th will determine whether or not we succeed in keeping Chase Farm open or whether the Tories close Chase Farm completely. If some of the land on the site is being sold to help fund the development, then how on earth does she figure that out? To put it another way, why would the Conservatives opt to spend £275 million on a hospital and then close it? Given this age of voter apathy, especially among the younger generation, is it not time that politicians of Joan's ilk quit using inaccurate, dramatic sound bites to dupe the electorate into voting for her? How about some real, well-thought-through solutions to the actual issues of the day, as opposed to this alarmist nonsense? Still, at least Joan Ryan is being consistent with the populist rubbish being spouted by her leader. No doubt this is all conjured up over a bacon sandwich in whichever kitchen takes your fancy. For the good of the country and future generations, let's hope the electorate sees the wood through the trees on May the 7th. Tackling the deficit and the nation's debt pile are the biggest issues we face by far. Politicians who deny it represent a serious threat to the future progress and prosperity of the people of this country.
Easter egg hunters enjoyed a treat over the weekend thanks to a generous donation from a bank in Edmonton. NatWest staff and customers gathered a cracking 1,832 eggs to donate to Noah's Ark Children's Hospice. They were used in the charity's Easter egg trail as part of the Easter extravaganza held at Capel Manor Gardens in Baldmore Lane, Enfield, on Friday and Saturday. Staff at the Upper Edmonton branch in 4th Street were aiming to collect 1,000 eggs, but nearly doubled their target. Cash donations totalling £376 were also made. Mina Taglini, NatWest Community Champion, said, "It's great, it's going to be a good cause, and it's a local charity. It was a real team effort." The idea for the fundraiser came from branch business manager Paul O'Reilly, who is a volunteer for Noah's Ark, which is based in Barnet.
Armed with their CVs, job seekers had a chance to chat directly with employers and find out about a range of careers at an event in Enfield. The jobs fair attracted businesses including BT, London Waste and North Middlesex University Hospital NHS Trust, along with supermarket giant Tesco and recruitment company Reed. An estimated 300 people turned up to discuss their aspirations and hear what skills employers were looking for. It was the 17th jobs fair organised by Enfield Council to give people a leg up onto the careers ladder and aimed at securing interviews and training for job applicants. The Office of National Statistics estimated there were 13,400 job seekers in Enfield last year. Alan Sitkin, the councillor with responsibility for economic development, said there was a good turnout at the fair, which was held at the College of Haringey, Enfield and North East London in Hertford Road, Ponders End. These job fairs are a great way of bringing important, large employers in touch with people of all ages who want employment, training or apprenticeship offers, he said. The council founded its JobsNet service in 2006 to help address unemployment issues and give job hunting tips on skills including interview practice and writing a CV.
Okay, if you're a bit hungry, this next article comes with a warning. I swear you'll want to eat something in a minute. Sights, sounds and aromas of France will waft from market stalls later this month as traders pitch up in Enfield town. A continental market will return between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. from April the 16th to the 18th, after first coming to the borough in November. French food and products get top billing, including a delicatessen stall offering terrines, pâtés, charcuterie and cured meat. But produce from Italy, Spain and the UK will also get a showing. As well as freshly baked bread, French cheese and saucisson, olives, pasta, paella, couscous, fajitas and a hog roast will line the stalls. For those of a sweet tooth disposition, croissant, crepe, Italian confectionery, candy, fudge, pastries, viennoiserie, baklava, nougat, Turkish delight and nuts will provide temptation, indeed. It's all top quality, fresh and totally authentic food with traditional ingredients and flavours that haven't changed for generations and can't be bettered, said organiser Phillip Basset. It's a real taste of traditional French market. He explained that traders have been hand-picked for the quality and popularity of their merchandise. Amber jewellery, glass, china, crystals, fossils and pottery will also be on sale, as well as crafts from Bali. And there's a picture that accompanies with a slogan, "Very tasty." Sounds it.
Visitors to Lee Valley Park Farm's Easter extravaganza were able to meet newborn Easter chicks as well as joining the traditional Easter egg hunt over the bank holiday weekend. There were plenty of new arrivals at the farm, including spring lambs, which visitors could stroke after searching for those hidden Easter eggs in the spring sunshine. They could also admire the meerkats in their new enclosure, which has been designed to replicate their natural environment while giving visitors a chance to get up close and personal with these animals, which live in big groups. Youngsters also tried out the new farm-themed outdoor children's play area, which opened at the end of March at the farm in Stubbins Hall Lane, Waltham Abbey. Attractions include a wooden vet's clinic and farm shop, so children can play at being a vet or farmer, as well as a combine harvester themed play frame, complete with slide and tunnels, and a tractor and trail play area.
More than 70 people heard moving tributes at a memorial event for a teenager who died in a car crash 3 years ago. Ashley Jones died in November 2012 following the accident that also took the lives of his friends Jack Boynton and Harry Ferrand, all of the Elsinge estate in Enfield. However, the memorial event to mark Ashley's 22nd birthday only went ahead at the last minute after the community centre where it was due to take place was closed. Enfield Borough Council repossessed Kemp Hall Community Centre on the estate last Thursday after a weapons cache was found near the building. But after appeals from the family, the council agreed to open the centre temporarily. Tracy Woodward, treasurer of the centre, said it was a moving tribute to someone taken too soon. But the fact the memorial event was in doubt was of a great concern, and even now we fear for the future of our centre. We did everything the council asked at the time, and yet knives were found near the premises 3 weeks ago, and it only chose to repossess it a day before this event. We have bookings for the space all year, and those who have bookings are very angry. Enfield North parliamentary candidate Nick Dubois, who attended the event, said, "I was very pleased the council backed down and let the memorial go ahead. Whatever its reasons for taking over the running of the hall, it was insensitive and ill thought just to shut Kemp Hall down without any notice. I hope now the council can work with residents to return this vital public facility back into use as soon as possible." Enfield Council stated it was committed to ensuring that the building is used by the whole community and is working with residents to ensure it is available to meet their requirements.
Children are being urged to take up a gardening challenge this month to help raise money for charity. Bibic, which helps children with learning disabilities, is calling on youngsters to grow the fattest sunflower face. Mary Matthews of Bibic said, "Last year we ran a competition for children to grow the smiliest plants around, and it was so popular that we have decided to run it again. We're asking green-fingered children to get involved and grow the sunflower with the fattest face. The seeds youngsters will use have been bred especially to have large flower heads. We know many schools have gardening clubs, and we would love it if they could get involved too. A £1 donation will be made once a person has bought the seeds."
Enfield's newest live music venue launches this Saturday in a giant converted farmyard barn. From this weekend, on every second Saturday in the month, the Black Barn in the picturesque rural surroundings of Forty Hall Estate will showcase established and up-and-coming bands. It's a spin-off of the annual all-day livestock music festival, Enfield's answer to Glastonbury, which will be held at Forty Hall Farm for the fourth successive year this summer. It's a working barn, which we use for one of the 3 livestock stages during the festival, and which accommodates up to 200 people, said Leon Wilkin, a founder and organiser of livestock. The idea is to showcase a range of bands, some of whom will perform at livestock this summer, as well as provide a platform for local talent, and develop the Black Barn as an exciting regular music venue. A different musical genre will feature at every gig, beginning in blues and followed by country rock, folk and soul, with ska to follow. Each night will feature a minimum of 3 acts, giving audiences a varied and exciting experience, all for £5, said fellow livestock organiser Jacob Thomas. Kicking the first night off are Doc Kay's blues band playing Chicago blues. Also on the lineup is an acoustic blues guitarist and vocalist Dan Nash, as well as young blues band The Blues Chapter playing Hot Shot, Texas Blues. Doors open at 8 p.m. with a bar provided by the Old Bell Pub in Baker Street, Enfield. The next Livestock Festival will be held on Saturday, August the 29th, with all proceeds this year donated to a charity providing musical instruments for children in Enfield schools. It promises to be even bigger and more eclectic than last year's event, which saw 22 different bands across the 3 stages.
We've already had one letter about Chase Farm Hospital. Now here's another one raising a different point from David Flint, who's the Green Party candidate for Enfield North. He says, "Last month the Council's Planning Committee approved the Royal Free's application to build a new Chase Farm Hospital. This is long overdue, and I'm sure it will be a good one. The school, too, is welcome. It's the housing that's the problem. Enfield certainly needs more homes. There are many people, especially young people, who need homes of their own. So what they need is affordable homes. The redevelopment of Chase Farm is an opportunity to provide those homes, yet the Council has accepted that only 13% of the 500 need to be affordable, rather than the 40% usually required. The Royal Free claims that 13% is more than it can really afford, and has shared the calculations with council officers. But only the officers. Planning committee members can't see them, and neither can we, the public, even though it's our NHS negotiating with our council. And this is despite judgments by the Information Commissioner and the relevant tribunal in a case in Greenwich, and in at least 4 other cases, that the calculations should be published. The tribunal judge said publication of the calculations would enrich the debate on an issue of considerable public importance. The issue here is transparency versus secrecy, whether two public bodies should be able to reach a private understanding to keep key facts from the public. And it's the result of a drift towards NHS privatisation, which obliges a world-class hospital to think like a property developer. It appears that elected politicians, the democratically elected servants of the people, must take lessons in accountability from an unelected and unaccountable judge. Call me naive if you will, but I think that's wrong. It's not too late to publish.
Enfield is set to showcase a celebration of North London dancing this month. Aylward Academy in Windmill Road, Edmonton, will host performances from schools across North London on Wednesday, April the 22nd. Enfield schools such as West Lee, Lee Valley, Highlands and Durrance School will all perform at various shows, such as the Step Into Dance event at Tower Hamlets. The project was launched by the Royal Academy of Dance and the Jack Petchey Foundation.
London Mayor Boris Johnson is due to join the election campaign trail in Enfield this week. The Conservative heavyweight was arriving in Enfield via Turkey Street railway station today to support parliamentary candidate Nick Dubois' bid to retain the Enfield North seat. He was due to meet shoppers and shopkeepers in Hertford Road during a walkabout before making a speech in Enfield Highway Conservative Club in Hertford Road.
Golfers raised more than £3,000 to help people find work. Mayor of Enfield Councillor Ali Bakir teed off a golf tournament to raise money for Skills for Life, a charity that helps younger and older generation get back into work. Council leader, Councillor Doug Taylor, joined Enfield North Conservative candidate Nick Dubois and Enfield Southgate candidate David Burrows in supporting the cause. More than 40 guests were invited to the post-tournament raffle, and an auction that brought the total raised to £3,667. Charity founder Vijay Sujan said, "This will help us take our project further in helping the young and senior adults into training and employment in the borough."
And a different dance story. More than 1,000 pupils took part in this year's Enfield Schools Dance Festival. Dance Me a Story was this year's theme for the event, in which 58 primary, secondary and special schools took part at Millfield Theatre in Edmonton. Councillor Ifa Orhan, Enfield Borough's Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection, said, "This is a festival that just gets better each year. Our young people have perfected routines to bring characters to life and have selected music that fits each story. This exceptional festival showcases the brilliant talent and hard work that goes on in our schools. It was a first-class celebration."
Well, we've reached the end of our programme for this week. Don't forget, your reader's representative, Diane de Jersey, is on 020 8805 6578 if you need any help with the talking newspaper. And please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible so we can send out the next edition. And that will be with you in 1 week's time. Thanks for being with us. From me, Katherin, Ross and Jason, Bye. Goodbye.